name is Sandra Marsh McClain, and I am retiring at 25 years of active service as a member of the Western Pennsylvania Conference. And my most memorable ministry moment happened while we were serving the Allison Park Epworth Church, and our daughters were really young. And our younger daughter, Anna, it was Christmas, and she contracted pneumonia, was very sick, and so we were giving around-the-clock breathing treatments, and it was coming up on Christmas Eve, and so my in-laws said they would come to the house, to the parsonage, and stay with Anna while the rest of us went to worship. And so, of course, when we all came downstairs, and Jeff and Laura, our older daughter, and I were heading to worship, Anna got very upset and wanted to be with us, and we didn't want her to get upset because of the pneumonia, so we said, okay, you can go with us, but you have to sit with Nanny during worship. And so we got to worship. Children's choirs were singing. I was leading a cantata, singing a solo. We had a guest pianist who was Reverend Kimberly Greway that I was mentoring. All kinds of things going on. And Anna decided in that moment that all she wanted was her mom and wouldn't stop fussing. And so I had Anna on my left hip and conducting with my right arm and singing a solo and making sure that this guest pianist who I was also mentoring and her parents were in the sanctuary, that everybody was okay, and all this chaos was going on. And to that mix, our 4-year-old daughter walked up with what used to be a headband, and it was now in 2 pieces, and said, "Mommy, I broke my headband." And in the midst of my chaos, I just looked at her and I said, "Laura, Mommy's a little bit busy right now. Can we look at it when we get home?" And she said, "Of course, Mommy." And she went back and sat with the other children. And at that time, there weren't a whole lot of people like me worshiping or leading worship services, meaning a mom, clergywoman, wife, all these different roles that I was doing. And I was afraid that when I looked up that the congregation would be frustrated, not the Epworth people, but maybe the guests. And I looked out into the sanctuary, and the reason this is the most memorable for me is because what I was met with in the midst of that chaos was an overwhelming level of grace. Everybody in the congregation smiled, just loved that moment and knew that I was struggling, and instead of being agitated or frustrated, they loved us through that, and they knew all those roles that I had in my life as mother, as pastor, as parent, as wife, as daughter-in-law. All of those things were converging, and it was all okay. Nothing was frustrating, nobody felt odd or out of place, and they just loved us through it. And here we are 25 years later, both of our daughters still worship, still are active members, praising God in the United Methodist Church, and my husband and I are continuing to minister in wonderful and creative ways. And so it was most memorable because of the way the church responded and loved us through a time where I thought for sure it was going to not work out that well. So I'm grateful for those moments and for all the churches that love us through those times when we're trying to juggle all those different roles and to do them all really well to the glory of God.